Today to learn from you and to carry the torch at 3M the best we can. We started down a journey about a year ago with Hutton House, and we hired, I think, our first placement. We worked with Joe. Joe, raise your hand. Everybody knows Joe from Hutton House. Our first placement at the beginning of the year in our business services area. Since then, we've added 2 more, and it's been an outstanding success. So what we'll do is we'll continue down this path and try to expand this as much as we possibly can. I'd also like to thank Joe for another placement. My son Christopher, who's 22 years old, was born with spina bifida, and so has been on a journey through his life. I like to call it typical journey. So he went to typical public school, typical high school. He's the biggest sports fan in the world. I was talking about his NFL team here and his college football team, UT, a minute ago. And he just graduated from Fanshawe College. And so that was absolutely fantastic. And he's now working at Fanshawe with the help of Joe and Hutton House. So I'd really like to give it, well, I don't think Fanshaw's here tonight being recognized. I'd really like to thank Fanshawe, Joe, and the support over there, because what Christopher is doing now is what a typical 22-year-old would do. He gets up in the morning, he goes to work 5 days a week, and he comes home, and that's exactly what we're shooting for with Christopher. So big thanks to Joe. I really appreciate it. So let me talk about Mike. Mike started at 3M in, I think, 2005 and was with us for 10 years. And Mike's contribution, I've only got a couple of minutes, so I'm going to have to keep your contribution short at 3M, Mike. But I think a variety of different projects in the engineering department at our Oxford Street plant. I think the biggest accomplishment was helping us pass our ISO 50001 designation for energy savings. With Mike's help, we have several folks from 3M here who Mike worked with. We were the first company in Canada to pass this energy savings designation, and only the second in the world to pass at the platinum level. So a big contribution for Mike, and that's the legacy he left at 3M. Let me tell you a little bit about Mike first. So Mike sustained a spinal cord injury in June of 1996. He was in a single car accident just outside of St. Mary's. But since then, he's had a typical upbringing. I'll call it typical. He graduated from high school. He went to university. He got a job, a great job at a great company. Was there for 10 years. He of course drove his own car across to the U.S. He traveled to Australia, which we spent some time with, and spent some time through Australia. So nothing really slowed him down. After 15 years after the incident, he decided that he would attend a facility in California that was specializing in spinal cord injury recovery. After returning to London, he decided it was the best place to start his new initiative moving forward. Mike's primary motivation for opening Moving Forward Rehabilitation and Wellness Center is to ensure that he and others have access to tools, facilities, and support required for them as they continue to move forward through their recovery here in London. I was talking to Mike just a little bit before, and he said it is an incredible satisfaction when he welcomes people into his facility and watches what they can do, what they set goals out to do, and how he accomplishes those goals. So with that, I'd like to welcome Mike to the stage, and thank you very much, Mike.
Thank you very much, everyone. I'd like to first thank the Abilities First Coalition for having me here. It's a great honor because I was actually part of the coalition years ago when I was working at 3M, representing 3M there. So thank you very much for having me here to be the speaker for today. Thank you, Paul, for introducing me today. It's a great honor to have you introduce me today because you were someone I really looked up to as a leader while I was an employee at 3M. So I'm here today to tell you about my life journey and where it's gotten me to. 19 and a half years ago, I was a typical, normal 16-year-old. I played sports. I was a good student. I was an okay student. I had a part-time job in a small grocery store in St. Mary's. I grew up in St. Mary's, just north of here. And I had a typical, teenage life. But the night of June 15th, 1996, I was leaving, going to a party that my boss was having. And my parents let me have the car that night. I unfortunately became a stat that night of a teenage boy who was inexperienced and lost control. I ended up losing control on a gravel road and ended up flipping my parents' car in a ditch and landing on the roof. Luckily, I had someone with me. They were able to go get me help and were able to get me to the hospital. And that's when they realized that I had broke my neck. I was C4-5 quadriplegic. And when they got me to the hospital, that's when they realized I had broke my neck. So they rushed me here to London to South Street campus for the hospital. And because I broke my neck was so swollen, they weren't able to do the surgery right away. So they waited about 4 days to do it. And one of my vivid memories of going in for the surgery was I'm lying there and I see these bright lights. And I was a huge X-Files fan back in the day. So I remember coming out of the surgery and I said to my mom, I was abducted by aliens. She says, Mike, no, you're just in surgery. I said, Mom, there's these bright lights and weirdos standing above me. So to this day, I still think I was abducted, but whoever did it did a good job on my neck. So from that moment, I was in the hospital for about 6 weeks at South Street because I ended up getting pneumonia after the surgery. From there, though, when I got healthy enough, they took me over to Parkwood Hospital. And Parkwood Hospital is one of the greatest hospitals for rehabilitation, for spinal cord injury, for stroke, for brain injury, and also for veterans also. It was there that I really learned life is not over. As much as I didn't really know what was going on for myself, I couldn't move anything. And the doctors were very supportive, but they also at the same time said, Mike, you're never going to walk again. And from that moment forward, I was dedicated to one day walk again, because I wanted to prove to that doctor that I was going to walk again. And I remember being in there, meeting my occupational therapist, and she's giving me a tour of the hospital. And we're in the physio area at this point. She says, Mike, this is what you're going to do. You're going to be doing physio. You're going to go to occupational therapy. And I said to her, how long am I going to be here for? She said 4 to 6 months. I thought she said 46 months. And then I was white those tablecloths. And they ended up having to go get the doctor, and they realized, all right, he's okay. He's not dying. We're good. And they said, no, Mike, it's 4 to 6 months. You're going to be okay. So, but it was there where I really learned life isn't over. Yes, I had spinal cord injury, and at the moment I couldn't really move anything or do anything, but they showed me that there's so many more possibilities. At that point, I was really shrugging my shoulders, but they would hook me up in these contraptions that, would give me the ability to move my arms. And I remember being in this thing, and I'm like, I felt like Pinocchio. I was hooked up by these strings, and I'm like, I'm a real boy. Like I was just, moving around. But it was those first real movements that gave me the strength in my shoulders and my biceps to start moving again. And with the help of occupational therapy, they taught me how to eat again, write again, type, and also learn to speak again because my vocal cords were damaged. So it was all these life skills that they really taught me again that I can now apply to going on forward with life. Now, while I was there, my parents, I've always said my mom was very militant. She wanted us, school is very important. You're going to get a good education, you're going to go to university or college, and you're going to get a job. That was her mindset. And thank God for that. Because she went to the high school I was going to in Stratford, and they arranged actually a teacher come down to London once a week, and we would, do my English courses. And it was grade 12 English, and it was Macbeth in 1984. Not my favorite thing to do, but we would come down once a week, and we would record my answers on a tape recorder, and I would also practice my writing. Now, I knew what a day looked like. I knew what a wheel looked like, but being able to functionally do it was all a learning experience. But my writing eventually got better, my typing got quicker, and I was able to, pass my grade 12 English while I was in the hospital, with the help of my nurses and occupational therapists. My occupational therapist, she went and bought all the books so that she could read them with me and quiz me on them. So it was no excuse for not having my homework done. And the nurses really pushed me to, like, just because you're in a wheelchair doesn't mean you can't do anything. You can do everything that everyone else can. And that really, motivated me. When I got out of Parkwood, it was February 15th, 1997. It was a Saturday, and my mom arranged that I was going back to school on the Monday. And I got back to school on the Monday, and life was a little different, because now all my friends were about a half a year ahead of me. But it gave me that willpower that, they've moved on, but so can I. So when I got back to school, I did just an English course, my OAC English, and a computer course. And then I went on to grade 12. I graduated grade 12 with honors. I went on to OAC, which is now, I think, a victory lap in school. And I went on to finish that and graduate that with honors also. So it was a great accomplishment that I was able to, for me and for my family, that, I can do this. So now it's time to really choose schools and what did I want to do. And I was always very passionate about architecture. I loved buildings. I loved seeing them and how they were built. Unfortunately, when my accident happened, my portfolio for architectural school got thrown out because they just clean out the lockers and they don't really know who's who and what's what. So that dream of being an architect kind of was flushed down the toilet. But through the guidance counselors, they let me know that engineering was a possibility. Civil engineering I could do also. So I went on and I went to Western here in London and started my first year. I met with the students for services for students with disabilities. I met with them. They let me know what the school could do to help me with my classes, and, arranging stuff on campus for me. And they said, like, you're going into engineering. It's probably going to take you about 6, maybe 7 years to finish your degree, just because of your disability, because of your abilities, what you can do, what you can't do. I said, let me try the first year, and I'll let you know what I can and can't do. So I went on, and I did. I finished the first year. It was a struggle. I mean, my day started at 6. Doing therapy, getting ready. I had a driver at the time who was driving me to London from St. Mary's. I'd be there for 8, I'd be there till 5, come home, do homework, eat dinner, go to bed by about 11:30 and start it all over. It was long days, but it really gave me that structure that I needed to get things done and to push me to do things. So when I finished my first year, I went on to finish my second year, I went on to finish my third year, and I graduated with my class in my 4th year of engineering and civil engineering. So, it made my mom very happy that I did get an engineering degree. But it was after that I realized, okay, now it's the real world. You're done school, now I need to get a job. And so I started looking for jobs, and I would get some interviews, and it was tough because I had the education, I had the marks. But it was, my wheelchair was holding me back. A lot of the jobs, especially for civil engineering, it's a hole in the ground, or it's scaffolding. And, so it was very difficult. So I went to Partners in Employment in Stratford, Ontario, and I said, I really just need some help to find a job for someone with a disability. And they were able to set me up and look and find jobs and employers that were looking for someone with a disability. I was very fortunate that the City of Stratford was hiring a position, creating a position, for an accessibility advisor. Who better than to be an accessibility advisor than a guy in a wheelchair? So I would go to all their buildings that they owned or leased, and I would examine them. I would measure the doors. I had someone else with me to do all these measurements and go to all the buildings. What was the ramp? What was the slope? Were the grab bars? Were the doors wide enough? So it was a 6-month contract, and we were able to accomplish that and give them, a report and say, this is what's wrong. And this is what needs to be fixed, and we'll make your city more accessible for all buildings that you own. And so from there, I was able to get a job at March of Dimes here in London. And it was a home and vehicle modification program. So I'm thinking, oh, this program helps people with wheelchairs to make their homes accessible. And I get there, I'm the only guy in a wheelchair. I was like, oh, okay. But it was great because they used me as a tool. They'd be like, Mike, I gotta measure you. I gotta see if you can turn around this corner, because what we did was we would work with contractors and people that would apply to get their homes accessible. And it was great because the March of Dimes, you know, they loved having someone with a disability that could help their, not only their employees that work with them better understand someone with a disability, but they made it easier for me. They made sure that I had a washroom that I could go into and use. There was an elevator in the building. They made sure that I could get all the buttons for it. So they were so very accommodating for what I really needed as an employee. And so it was from there that I loved that job. And it was one of those things where I would go to work and you'd have people call you. They might yell at you because they couldn't get their application pushed through. But it was that one call of that mother calling you said, I can now get my daughter or son into their house. I can get them into their bed. You know, you've made my life that much easier. You've allowed us to get a vehicle so I can get them around. So that was so fulfilling. And, you're sitting there and your job is helping someone else. And that was the greatest thing. And while I was working there, I was very fortunate enough to get a call from 3M. I don't even remember applying to 3M. I think I gave it to someone's neighbor to, hand it into HR. But I was very fortunate that they called me. I went in for an interview and not really knowing what the position was going to be. It was, at the time, it was in the shipping and receiving department. So I went to school for structural engineering. Why do they want to meet me for their shipping and receiving department? And I met with Paul Curry, who was the manager at that time. He says to me, Mike, we don't care about what your education is. We know you're a smart guy, and we want to use you for your brain. And you're in a wheelchair, but you're in the plant, so we can make it as accommodating as we need to make it. And for me, that was like, wow. I really thought, these people really do care about me, and not just worry about what I can and can't do. And when I showed up there, I said, what do we need to do to make your life better? And so I was working out in the plant at this time on Oxford Street, and I was very fortunate. The office was out there, and they built me this amazing bathroom. They called it Taj Mahal because it was all white. The thing was gigantic. You had to do wheelies in that thing. It was amazing. But it was fully automatic. They put automatic doors on it, automatic lights. So you don't have to worry about the light switch and stuff like that. Automatic doors into my office and in and out of the plant. So they made it very accommodating for me. And just being able to get in and through the factory. Now I use my wheelchair sometimes to race lift trucks. Just because I needed to get from one end of the plant to the other, I tell you, I got a little bit of a warning, might stop racing the lift trucks, but, thanks for getting your job done. But it was one of those experiences working there, that working for such a big company, they saw me as a normal employee. They didn't see my wheelchair or my disability. And I was very fortunate to then move on to the engineering department, and which my mom was very happy with. I had this engineering degree, so now I'm actually going into engineering. And very fortunate to work with some great people there. That my manager, my employees that I worked with, my other colleagues, that they didn't see my wheelchair for what it was. We found jobs that I could do. It's a little tough to crawl under a piece of machinery when you're in a wheelchair. So we made sure I could do projects and jobs that we could do. It was while I was at 3M that I realized, I've done everything everyone else in my life, that up to 35 has done. Maybe mid-30s, or early 30s actually. I went to school, I got an education, I bought a house, I got a car I could drive. But my dream of walking one day at 40 wasn't going to happen if I didn't really extend my therapy and what I was going to be able to do. And that's what I found at a place in California, San Diego. If anybody been to San Diego? Beautiful. 75 degrees all year. It's a tough place to go to, let me put it that way. But I found this place in California, and they were teaching people how to rediscover their body, how to recontrol it, how to use your mind to now move your body. So I talked to my manager, I talked to HR at 3M, and I said, I really want to be able to try this. Can I take a leave of absence to do it? And they loved the idea. Because at 3M, they want to be able to make you a healthier employee so that you become a better employee. So I said, I want to be able to go down for about a 6-week leave of absence. So we went down, and I went down there, and I loved the program. I was able to learn my body, how to control it, how to move my legs, get better ability with my arms. Stand for the first time in a standing frame. And I was there for about 3 weeks, and that's when I realized I loved this program. And so I emailed my boss at the time at 3M, and I said, Marcello, I don't think I'm going to come back yet. Is that okay? And I hit send. Normally, you probably get an electronic pink slip, probably. But they were very understanding that this was something that I was very passionate about and wanted to do. So they allowed me to stay for a 4-month period. When I came home, I was able to, after being down there and standing for the first time, standing in a standing frame, I was able to buy a wheelchair that stood me up. And I was able to actually stand at my sister's wedding for the first time. So it was great to be able to stand in front of the church with her coming down the aisle. I think I cried more than she did, so it was a very emotional day for me and everyone else. It was more when I came home that I realized I want to continue this program. I'm back at 3M working, but I realized that we have a lot of great gyms in the city, the Y, Good Life, but a lot of them just aren't accommodating for people in wheelchairs. You can get in, but the machinery might not be accessible or being able to get on and off of it. The trainers aren't trained to work with someone with disability. So I was able to get a trainer here in London. She would actually just come to my house and we would work on the basics and what I could and couldn't do, just out of my house. And in the meantime, I was working at 3M still, and I decided to go back down again, down to California. And this time I wanted to go down for about an 8-month stretch. And again, very accommodating. They allowed me to actually work part-time through the computer to do my projects and work down there. And it was my second trip that I really realized my potential and that dream of one day walking again. I was able to actually stand for the first time without a standing frame and with the assistance of my trainer. I was able to get on a treadmill and take those first steps on the treadmill. And when my family came down for the very first time down in California, they got to see me stand for the first time. They got to see me walk for the first time. And this was 17 years after my accident. And I remember my mom being there and watching me on the treadmill. And I remember her leaving. And I didn't really know why. I thought she's just going to the washroom. Found out afterwards that she went to the washroom to cry. Because she knew that I would be able to do this one day. It was just a matter of time. It was a matter of willpower. Knowing that I was able to do this. And this opened my eyes. That, you know what, I can do all this stuff. I can make my parents proud. But now what can I do to help other people? So when I came home, I talked to 3M about leaving and potentially opening up a gym here in London for people with disabilities to go to. And they were great. My manager was, kind of sad to see me go, but knew that this was where I was more passionate about now, was opening up a gym that someone could go to, come and work out, set their small goals, and be able to work. I had never owned a business before. I had done project managing, but owning a business was way different for me. But luckily, there's a small business development center here in London. I went there and talked to them, about what my idea was, what I wanted to do, and they kind of encouraged me to do this. They said, Mike, there's really nothing like this in the city of London. I went to TD Bank and talked to them about what I wanted to do, and they were very helpful in terms of setting things up and getting things going. So I decided, okay, I'm going to pull the trigger, we're going to do this. So I found a location, and I got my cousin to come in. We gutted this place, and I made it fully accessible. Automatic doors, I made the washrooms big enough. Everything was what I needed. I figured if I can't get in, it's not accessible, no one else can get into it. So I wanted to make it as accessible as possible. And I left 3M at the end of last year and started the gym full time. And like Paul said, I was talking to him earlier, I said, it's such a fulfilling feeling knowing that someone can come in with goals and you're able to help them accomplish those goals. Whether it be the littlest things. We have people coming in with spinal cord injuries and stroke and brain injuries, and they want to be able to walk better. They want to be able to stand. They want to be able to do all these things. And be able to get them standing for the first time and see that smile on their face. We had a lady come in who has spinal injury. She's 26 years post-injury. We had her walking on the treadmill, and her family showed up to surprise her just before Christmas of last year. And we had her walking on the treadmill. And I was very emotional because her mom and her sister were there to watch her walk for the very first time in 25 years. So it's moments like that that make it so rewarding having a place like this in London. Now, this experience of opening a gym has opened so many doors for me. Working with TD, they saw me as a client of TD and what I was doing for the City of London, what I was doing for people in the City of London. And my small business advisor comes up to me and he says, Mike, we want to be able to do an interview with you. We want to have a phone conference. I said, sure. Maybe it's evaluating him. I didn't really know what it was all about. And so they called me and they asked me about what my life experience is and how TD has helped me. They said, Mike, if TD was able to help you out and give you a large sum of money, what would you do with it? And I said, well, you know, from my experience in merchandise, there's a lot of people in the City of London that need help to make their homes accessible. And that's what I would love to do with it. So it ended up that all of a sudden, I don't really hear anything more. They said, thanks very much, we love your story. And I don't really hear anything. All of a sudden last year, I was at the gym, I was going to start working on it, talking to one of the trainers, and my back door opens up, and Sean comes walking out, my small business partner. And he's got a camera crew behind him, and he says, Mike, we're here on behalf of TD because we love your idea. And he hands me this access card and he says, there's $30,000 on this, and we want you to be able to help people in the community of London. So, and I was involved in this thing last year. We got a little video here about the experience and what it was all about.
On this card, I have $30,000 to help you help folks at home get accessibility at their house. Wow. Are you ready to make today better? Yes. We're going to do this in the next 24 hours, so we need to start working on some plans for you.
Okay. That's so awesome. Living in a wheelchair for the past 18 years, I know, about accessibility and how hard it can be to get into places, and being able to do that is something I want to be able to give to people.
I think she'll be pretty happy at the end of the day today.
Oh, for sure. Well, Miraflor has polio, so right now she uses the cane wheel to get around, but in the future she will need her scooter, possibly a wheelchair. We're building a lift for them to get into the house, an accessible washroom. That reaction on the face is priceless, and I'm very excited about what we can do to help Miraflor. Oh, are you excited about this? Oh, yeah? Oh, I'm very happy to do this for you. This is great. I understand you're looking to get a ramp so that you can be able to get your scooter into the house. So we want to be able to help you and pay to get the ramp in so that you can get in and out of your house easier.
I never receive anything from anybody.
Well, that's what we want to do. We want to
That's a
help
shock
you.
to me.
I'll look after the bill, okay?
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
I see the emotion in her that, now she will be able to get around, knowing that I can now offer that. Overwhelming.
Thank you so
I'm
much.
so glad to help you. It's such a great feeling that knowing that myself and TD Bank will help people in the community of London make their, their dream come true, be able to live in a home that's accessible.
It's been almost 4 years and I never come out of the house.
See, now you'll be able to.
I just, guys, I can't believe it. I have no words.
It's been a whirlwind 24 hours, but it's been unbelievable. I'm so happy that TD's given me this opportunity. It's a life changer, really it is, and it's changed my life forever. I really appreciate it. There's good people in the world, and a lot of people don't see that every day. And this experience has shown me that.
thank the Abilities First Coalition today for having me here. You know, because there's so many employers that are great employers in the city of London that see people with disabilities as what they're able to do and not look at their disability. I'd like to thank 3M for everything that they've done. And now being a business owner in London, I now have the opportunity to hire people with a disability also. So thank you very much.